Hi, my name is Mark Ventura, and thanks for joining me on my solve. For this solve, we're going to assume that Jack is the finder, and everything Jack and Forrest Fenn have said have been absolutely true. So let's get started. So how did Jack do it? How was he able to find the treasure when so many of us failed? Well, for one thing, he took the time to really get to understand Forrest Fenn as a person. He got inside his brain and he figured out that he wanted to bury the treasure where he wanted to die. He also, while doing his research, found some very important slip-ups which helped lead him to the treasure. We also know that he spent 25 days in the search area, and that's a very important clue because that means the treasure was very hard to find. And finally, and most importantly to me, he said that if you like to solve puzzles, well then maybe this puzzle isn't for you, which means it's not some complex, tricky puzzle, it's just a real obvious poem leading you to the treasure. So where did Forrest want to die? Well, no one can be sure, but there is a passage that's very popular called Flywater in his first book, The Thrill of the Chase, where he talks about when his tackle box is closed. And many people think that refers to this place where he wants to die. So this is where I thought this slip-up may have occurred. In order to find a slip-up, I searched for the original source material for the Flywater article, and I found it. An article Fenn had written back in 2008 called Memories of the Past Enrich Our Present. And in that article, there are three words that are there that are not in Flywater, which are on the firehole. Other words, it is word for word what is in Flywater. Now, what's interesting is that in Flywater, he put a passage before it which mentions the Madison River. So he took Firehole out of the book and put Madison River in. And I do not think that this was done by accident. It is, as Jack would call it, a slip-up. Well, so now that Forrest Fenn had told us that the treasure was found in Wyoming, and we know it's on the Madison River, that really helps because that shortens the Madison River from about 181 miles all the way down to less than 15. So where could warm waters halt if that's going to be our location? Well, where else? The Madison River confluence, which happens to be the most popular theory for treasure hunters, is the Madison River confluence. It's where the Firehole and the Gibbon rivers, the warm waters, halt and then begin the cold Madison River. So now take it in the canyon down. Well, it's interesting. Each of these rivers have a canyon, but there's actually flow to this passage. And if you look at the rivers, the two warm rivers are flowing into the Madison River. So if you want to take it in the canyon down, you've got to go downstream, which is down the Madison River. So this is where the puzzle gets a little tricky because Forrest himself will say, well, a lot of people can solve the first two clues, but then when they get to clues 3 to 9, they have trouble. So we're at clue 3. So a lot of people who start here think, okay, where could it be? Where could it be? And there's so many things downstream. You've got Barnes Hole, Baker's Hole, Hagen Lake, and Earthquake Lake. But this time, we're just going to take his clue and see where it takes us instead of trying to predict where he wants us to go. And Forrest clearly said that it's about 10 miles of river distance. So if we go exactly 10 miles of river distance without caring where it takes us, believe it or not, it puts us right in the center of a put-in right on the Madison River. So I'm not a fisherman and I don't know the Madison River, but looking at some maps, this spot is just downstream or below Cable Car Run, which is a very popular fishing hole today. So it'd be hard to imagine that Forrest found a fishing hole which hasn't been discovered. So home of Brown for us is going to be Cable Car Run. So I'm just going to throw the next 4 clues together because we've been through them so many times, and it's about entering the water. So let's do it. So no place for the meek. You're stepping into the Madison River. It's dangerous. It's cold. You could drown. That's why Forrest said to get a personal flotation device. The end is drawing nigh. It's drawing near. It's also on the left. There's no paddle up your creek. We're going upstream against the Madison River, and just heavy loads in water high. Yes, heavy loads of fish and deep water. So let's try to narrow down our search area to make it easier to find the treasure. So we know that Forrest had famously said many people come within 500 feet and only a few people come within 200 feet. So in this example, the people that had come within 500 feet were simply driving down a highway on their way to some other spots like Barnes Hole and Baker's Hole. And the people that had come within 200 feet, those few people were walking on the opposite bank looking for blazes. So in order for these both to be true at the same time, they could only happen in the area that I have indicated in yellow. Once you move out to the left and right of that area, the road becomes too far away. And if you look at that search area, it's smaller than the length of a football field, just like Jack had said. The reason Jack spent 25 days searching for the treasure is because, as he put it, once he put boots on the ground, he really started getting more confidence. And it's probably because a lot of these landmarks matched up. If you look at the pictures from Highway Hole, and you see these trees in the background right along the edge of the river, they exactly match the ones on the other side of the search area. And it's really cool to know that this is one of the only spots along the Madison River within Yellowstone that have trees right along the shore like that. And the pictures of June are even more incriminating. She is standing a little further upstream, as you can see, and those same trees are in the background a little bit further down, just like they're supposed to be, as I indicated with number 1. Number 2 shows the curve from the bank behind her in the photograph, and number 3, if you look behind her right hand, you could see that little island behind her popping up. But wait a minute, what about the last clue? What about the treasure? Where's the blaze? Well, I don't know, and I don't think we'll ever know, because Jack himself said that the blaze was either destroyed or moved, and without the treasure being where it's supposed to be, we'll never know for sure. But I have a feeling it was really, really hard to find. Jack came within 6 feet when he first went to the search area and then took 25 days to find it. I think it was something like maybe a carving in the tree or maybe something his father had done to show the family where all the fishing gear, the fishing poles and other stuff, was hidden so that every time they came to go fishing at the highway hole, they didn't have to keep bringing their stuff back and forth. Definitely big enough to fit a body though. Anyway, that's my solve. I really hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for joining me.